I recently got back into Linux, and one of the things that I liked most about it was the ability to automate pretty much everything. This means that I can automate all the boring tasks that I've been doing on a daily basis that have literally become a part of my subconscious mind at this point. That got me thinking of some other stuff that I can automate, be that with some keyboard shortcuts, Python, or even Bash scripting. The possibilities are endless. Now, one of the first lessons that I've learned when I started automating some of my workflow is the fact that it's better to spend some time in advance automating something and then reap the results later. Even though it's a trivial task that might take you like a minute, if you do that over the years, consistently, the time adds up. You can remove that routine from your life and focus on something else. Now, one task for you may be something small or it may be something big, but let's say you automate a few things in your life and all of a sudden you have a lot more free time to focus on other stuff. Honestly, in my opinion, the best part of automating stuff is not the actual automation, it's the satisfaction that you get when you see your program do the work for you. I think this goes well with the philosophy of work smarter, not harder. Now let's get this out of the way. Why Python? Well, most of the time that you're trying to automate something, you don't really care about the performance, you just want it done. If you really care about performance, you'll be using something like C. However, if you used C, you'll probably double your development time, if not triple it. But hey, if your task is that intense and needs all the performance it can get, sure, do it in C or assembly. Now, starting off with some simple automations, the first thing that you can do is, well, I recommend definitely taking advantage of keyboard shortcuts. And I know, pause, a lot of you are going to be like, seriously, keyboard shortcuts? Trust me, I bet that 90% of you here don't use keyboard shortcuts as much as you should. You might think that it's not worth it, but trust me, whatever you're doing on your computer or your phone or whatever it is that you're using, keyboard shortcuts make a huge difference. Let's say you're just using your computer, right? Now, currently on my Linux system, I've got a few keyboard shortcuts, just a couple of main ones. I use those to open my file manager, my terminal, my web browser, WhatsApp, and I have a custom keyboard shortcut for closing my apps. This is something simple to get started with, but trust me, when you get used to these shortcuts, you'll find yourself needing the mouse less and less over time. You'll also feel really cool using them. Now, keyboard shortcuts don't have to be that simple. You can literally bind them to anything. For example, a custom script that you wrote. Let's say you use your calendar often. Now, one thing that you can do is, for example, write a Python script that opens up Google Calendar for you and automatically starts adding a new event. Or you can make a script that, when ran, just tells you when your next free appointment is. You can do that with a Google Zone API, or you can even go into browser automation with Selenium, for example, that allows you to actually, press buttons programmatically. Only last week I've started using Google Calendar myself, and I've noticed that even though I like it a lot, it takes quite a lot of time to make an event. I mean, sure, it's a couple of seconds, but it gets kind of tedious. So if you were to write a script that does all the work for you with the press of a button and you just type the name of the new event, that actually saves you quite a lot of time. I mean, at least for me personally. Now, the other side of this is mobile automation. A couple of nights ago, I actually started using Siri Shortcuts on my iPhone, and I gotta say, it is so underrated. I think that everyone with an Android or an iPhone should be using any sort of automation they have built in their phones. I believe Samsung has something like Bixby routines, iPhone has Siri Shortcuts and Siri automation. These have become so advanced, yet so little people use them properly. For example, on my phone, I wrote a really simple automation with Siri Shortcuts and Siri automations. If I try to open the social media app before 6 p.m, it'll tell me to go be productive instead of being so lazy and watching TikTok all day. If, however, it is, let's say, 7 p.m, it allows me to enter social media without bothering me. You can actually check online for some really cool automations people have done. You don't have to write them on your own. You can find some templates, modify them, make them work for you, and have fun. I found some really cool Siri shortcuts that, for example, show you your live subscriber count on YouTube. They can make images for you, like literal images. For example, there's this shortcut that when you take a screenshot on your phone and you start up the shortcut, it literally puts that screenshot inside a device frame and it's ready to be shipped off to, let's say, the App Store. There are cool shortcuts to log your water intake, to start up a custom gym workout that you've programmed into your health app. You can create full-blown automations, for example, limiting your amount of screen time per day. or automatically replying to text if you're not available, or for example scheduling an email or scheduling a message. Whatever you can think of, there's probably a way to do it. I definitely recommend not only bringing your automation to your computer, but also to your mobile device that you carry with you at all times. I've been trying this new thing where I don't use my phone for the first hour of the day, and I've got an automation that tells me not to use the phone for the first hour when I wake up every day, just to remind me not to scroll on social media. Now that is actually something that I'll be talking about in my upcoming video about how to overcome procrastination and how you can do it in literally a day. So make sure to watch out for that. It should be coming out in a week or two. Alright, speaking of some more interesting topics and some more advanced automations, and this is where it gets really fun, you can literally automate your workflow. So basically a couple of months ago, I ran this niche Instagram page for motivational content. And that page had about 4 to 5 posts a day, which were all branded and had a custom design. Now, if you were to pay a social media manager or a designer for something like that, it will probably cost you a hefty sum, and over time you will be spending a lot of money. Now, what I did, and you'll be seeing that on screen as we speak, so basically the program goes over hundreds of stock images that I have downloaded online, which are copyright free. I've also found some motivational quotes, and that took me only a couple of minutes. When the program is ran, it goes over those images and over those quotes and automatically creates branded content for me. But in about 4 minutes, I had roughly 300 pieces of content for my social media account that probably would have cost me hundreds of dollars. This really puts into perspective how much of your workflow you can actually automate. For example, you can literally make a bot that does all of the social media work for you, be that liking other users' comments, following users, unfollowing users, posting your content for you, scheduling it. You can make it all work on your own. Now, one caveat is the fact that stuff like that is usually against terms of service on websites like Instagram, Facebook, etc. So if you want to do something like that, do it at your own risk. Don't tell them that I made you do it. It's a cool project. You can learn a lot in the process, but there's a risk. Hell, you can even write your own program and become a social media manager without having to do anything. You just plug a new account into your newly programmed bot and watch the cash flowing in. What I'm trying to get at is whatever you do, there's probably a way to automate at least a part of your workflow. It's gonna take some time in advance, but it's totally gonna be worth it. In the intro sequence, you saw a small little program that I wrote in Python that actually allows me to check my Instagram and YouTuber subscribers and also keeps track of changes in likes, dislikes, and views per day. Now, I made this run automatically every time on system startup, so I don't have to check all of that, and sure, it's only like a minute to check it. However, having that content every time I turn on my PC be right there on my screen for a couple of seconds, it makes it really convenient. Now, the script that I wrote for the Instagram content creation is also made in Python. It took me around an hour or two to make because I had to learn the actual libraries used for it, but that was time well spent because if I were to edit all of those images in Photoshop or Canva or whatever tool one by one, I would be losing probably dozens of hours to make that content. Now, obviously, there are limitations to this. You can't automate everything. Now, if your work has anything to do with computers or anything, technical, I'd say there's a good chance you can automate at least a part of your workflow. Some cool examples that I saw online is making a trading bot or a crypto trading bot with Python. I also saw this project where you automate your desktop, and this is probably something I will be implementing into my workflow soon. But what it does is it looks for files on your PC, let's say the downloads folder, and it automatically sorts them into folders and subfolders to organize your system automatically. Another idea that I had is creating a bot that scrapes your Facebook account to find your friends' birthdays and puts them into your calendar. All of this is nice, but in my opinion, the best part of automation is that you learn something new every day. And when you write your own scripts or bots or whatever it is you're making, you're probably gonna learn a lot of new stuff along the way. Alright, so much for me. Thank you for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Let me know if you like this kind of content. If you feel like it, you can subscribe. If not, that's also fine. Either way, I'm out.